Okay, so you should get that announcement. Okay, so week 4, Thursday night, September 24th, we're going to go through a couple of items regarding the week 4 portfolio, as well as the week 4 visible body. So first off, in the portfolio, there are a couple of items again that you may stumble upon, and you've exhausted your resources. You've looked through the slides from our slideshow. That's where you're going to want to kind of hang out, and then certainly the visible body activities as well. Okay, um, so anyhow, there's just a handful of definitions, and then the cells of each one of these. And again, you could be clear, concise with these. You don't have to write novels. You don't have to write several items if you don't want to. You can certainly give one example of each one, a cell, or an example of simple squamous epithelium. We saw that with the alveoli of the respiratory system, and they're going to be flat, single layered cells. So again, just go through, and the definitions are in the terms area as well. And you also want to remember, let me go back here really quick. In the weekly units, you're also going to want to take a look at these two outlines. They're going to contain quite a bit of information that's going to assist you in answering these questions. Now, you've got your Padlet videos to go through. And again, I've said it before, you can do one, you can do multiples. Again, this particular week, there are a lot of videos. You may go back and watch some of them as you're going through your portfolio. You may be like, oh man, I remember there was a video in Padlet about wound healing, and there's a couple questions. So anyway, you can certainly refer back to that. Use your outlines to assist you. And of course, over here in the weekly slides area, you're going to find the PowerPoint that we went through on Tuesday. Okay. And of course, you've got the OpenStax and the key terms. That'll help you answer some of those definitions as well. Now, this area here is where you might run into a couple of issues regarding, is it this or is it that, or is it this, that, or the other? Maybe you're going to be stuck with 3 or 4 different items. So as you go through and do your visible body lab, you're going to maybe want to have this out as well. Every student does it differently, and some find that doing the Padlet, basically having all 3 things pulled up, the Padlet tab pulled up, the visible body activity pulled up, and then the portfolio pulled up. So some students will kind of work on everything all at once. Other students will go in order. They'll do the Padlets, then they'll do the visible bodies, then they'll do the portfolios. If they have issues along the way, they'll refer back, or they'll check back in with something maybe they did previously. So however you do it, there is no best practice. I think the best practice is whatever practice you find works for you. And it may change unit to unit or week to week. You may find that some weeks you like to do things in order. It makes more sense for you. Other weeks, doing them all at the same time makes more sense. So these do not have numbers with them. So if this weekend you're working on them and you stumble across a couple that you're kind of torn between, you can either take like a screenshot, or you can describe which one just by row. It's the 4th row, the 2nd one in. So I can figure out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, there's the 4th row, 2nd one in, something like so. Again, however you want to do it, or you can wait certainly until next Tuesday. These aren't due until midnight on Tuesday night, so 11:59 p.m. Tuesday. You can certainly hand them in later if you need to, but I'll start Tuesday's lecture before we get into new stuff. I'm going to pull up the visible body go through and see if there are any questions on that. And then I'm going to pull this up just like I'm doing now. I'm going to go through top to bottom, see if you have any specific questions. And then certainly you can add things in, change things up. And even if you've already submitted it, or you can submit assignments unlimited amount of time. So if you've submitted it and then we go through a couple things and you're like, oh man, I want to, or 5 or 6 I want to fix, that's fine. You can go in, fix them, and then resubmit the assignment. It's up to you. I don't take off points for, if you have a few that are missing, it's not a big deal. It is an indicator that we'll probably talk about them. And it's also an indicator too that you're probably not alone. Typically I see the same questions, and we've seen it together this semester. You guys have done a lot of work so far, and there's been really just a couple of questions that the collective have stumbled on or have had issues with, and so that's typically the case. So again, I encourage you to exhaust every resource you can, including me. And if again you still want to wait until Tuesday after class and submit it, because we will go through them if you've got questions. The other thing some students do, some of you have done it this semester. Some students do it. Some students do it. There we go. Maybe. Some students do. Okay, there we go. Mute Stephanie there. Thank you. Yeah, make sure you mute yourselves when you come in. If not, it's not a big deal. I'll figure it out. But anyhow, some students, some of you have done it this semester. Students generally have done it in the past as well. If you have a question about an answer that you've put, maybe you are pretty sure it's this, you've looked it up, you're not 100% sure, but you put it in. You could put a question mark next to it. That's an indicator to me that also that, yeah, you got it correct, but you're maybe not sure why you got it correct. So that then that's something that we can maybe discuss as well in class. The other thing too that I'll do occasionally is make comments in your assignments. So when you turn them into the Dropbox, I get them just like you turned them in, and then I go through and if as needed, like if you put some question marks or if you leave some things blank, I'll maybe put some comments or add to it so you get a better understanding. I almost always will put comments or in the actual grade itself. So you'll notice when you go into your grade book, you'll have a score, and then it might have like a little talking, comic strip like bubble or whatever. So if you click that, it's going to have some general comments about the assignment. If everything looked good, generally that's what I'll say. If there were a few things I needed to add, I'll add them in there. If I added things into your actual assignment, I'll make mention of that, and then you go back into the Dropbox and you can read in there. Now, if you have issues with that, let me know and I can show you what I mean. Again, if you go back into your Dropbox, just like you submitted it, you'll see your assignment, and then there'll be potentially some comments within it. So some of you have other classes or have had other classes and you use Blackboard and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So others, maybe not. But I do generally keep the comments in the comment area within the grade book. So keep that in mind as you go through and look at things. I've been in the process for a couple days of grading your week 3 stuff. Some of you are still handing that in, which is perfectly fine. So I hope to have everything done that's been handed in over the last few days. I hope to have all of that graded by the time I go to bed tomorrow. So anyway, you guys are doing great. Keep it up. And again, if you have questions this weekend when you're working on your stuff, please let me know. All right. So let's see if there was anything else in the portfolio. I don't think there's anything else too traumatic. Maybe, like I say, a couple of these tissues might give you a little bit of a fit, but they're not too bad. And then there's some identification with the skin. Okay, and then we keep going, whoops, and there's a spot for functions of the skin. And then again, the other thing I wanted to mention, in a few spots, it'll say, a minimum of 5 sentences. In fact, that you don't have to do that. You can write, some students write 1 or 2 sentences and they hit all the points. Some students don't write sentences at all. They'll put bullets. Like, you can come in here and hit the bullet spot or the number spot, and you can just type in that way. So I'm not picky about complete sentences. I really am just interested in you expressing in some way that you have a little bit of an understanding of what I am asking. So next up, level 4 is basically trying to kind of link the body systems together. So we start with integumentary. We've got all these other body systems. So you're going to go through and, I give you a little bit of clues in here. But again, just how would the urinary system, if the urinary system is having to do, or any of these systems are having to do more work. That's kind of what the implication is here. The integumentary system is faulty. And remember, if the integumentary system's faulty, we're saying that the different functions may be faulty. So over here, one of the functions of the integumentary system has to do with fluid balance. So the urinary system is a big system for maintaining fluid balance, but it doesn't do it by itself. The integumentary system helps out. So if the integumentary system is dysfunctional, the urinary system may have to pick up some of the slack and do a little extra work. That could cause it to become inflamed if it becomes a chronic issue. Vitamin D synthesis. If the integumentary system is dysfunctional, it could affect how UV rays are passing through and how vitamin D is getting synthesized. If vitamin D synthesis is not occurring like it should, it can affect our ability to absorb calcium and deliver it to the bones. So if the skin, if the integumentary has issues, that could affect how the skeletal system is able to store calcium. Without vitamin D synthesis going on, calcium absorption doesn't take place like it should. Therefore, we don't get as much calcium to the bones. So that's kind of what we're thinking about with those. And then there are a couple others too that you're going to want to look at as well. So again, the idea is the integumentary system has become dysfunctional. Therefore, what would these systems have to do, or how would they maybe be affected by the integumentary not helping out with some of the weight that these other systems have to pull on a normal basis? So remember, these systems are connected intricately and intrinsically. They're not compartmentalized and separate. The last thing you're going to do is just answer a couple of questions. We've moved on with our patient from last week. We had Paul come in and he got a PSA. He basically got a blood test, maybe a urinalysis, probably some sort of DRE, which is a digital rectal exam. So he probably got a couple of somewhat non-invasive diagnostic tests done. So that's what we had last week, right? We had the PSA antigen levels were up. That triggered then maybe we need to do a biopsy. So what ended up happening this week is we're now looking at cells and tissues. So as we look at cells and tissues this week, we can now look at Paul's tissue sample and kind of compare it to some others and make a couple of conclusions. So again, put a couple of your thoughts in here about what you see, and it's pretty straightforward. And again, if you have questions this weekend about it, or next Tuesday night when we get together, you can certainly bring those to the table. But that's what you're getting yourselves into this week with tissues regarding the portfolio. All right, so that's the portfolio. There are a couple of review hyperlinks. These review hyperlinks under directions, they'll take you to the OpenStax reviews. I want to remind you or mind you, maybe I didn't tell you before, or some of you are hearing it for the first time, so it's not a reminder, but you definitely want to check out this exam review questions tab before you go dive in to take the exams. If you click on the exam review questions tab, which, let me go back real quick, is it's different than these. These are the review over here in the directions for the sections. These are the reviews that that'll link you directly to OpenStax. These over here, the exam review questions, I decided to earlier, a couple weeks ago, week 2, I think it was, or between week 1 and 2, to put the test bank questions in here. So that's what you have access to is the test bank questions. I don't have the answers to these in here. However, you would find all of the answers to these in your slides from the slideshow. I basically create your exams based on what we discuss with the slides and what we do with visible body and the portfolio, as well as the Padlets. They all kind of blend together. That's what gets you the exam. But these are the questions that you're going to see with the go. These are the questions you're going to see that are part of that exam pool. Now, as you're studying and prepping to take the exam, you're going through these, and you can print it out, you can write them down. If you do come across some questions that you really are unsure of, shoot me an email, tell me what number in the exam review you're having issues with, or which numbers, and I'll try to guide you into the right direction. So anyway, this particular, and they're all different, right? This week, I think there's about 115 or so questions. And again, you're going to get 40 of them, just a random 40. But this should help you prep. These are the questions from the pool. So please take a look at that. I hope some of you already are. But if not, there you have it. Let's see, let's go into weekly units. Once again, get back into where we were with week 4. There we go. Invisible body. So portfolio. So we're good. Exam is up. Again, you've got your hyperlinks over here to do the drop boxes and the exam. You've got the reviews for OpenStax as well as the review questions. In the comprehend area, again, you've got links to chapter 4 and 5. So the last thing we really need to do tonight is discuss what the expectations are with your visible body lab assignment. And then I'll let you guys, if you have questions, certainly ask them. If not, then I'm going to let you get to it. And let's see, typically, Thursdays in class, if we were face-to-face, I haven't spent too much time yet. It's been about 10, 15 minutes, but usually about the first 15 minutes of our Tuesday night classes, I would go through kind of what I'm doing now, and then pull out all the models and the microscopes, and you guys would basically have at it and just start going to work. So that's basically how our Thursdays are going to roll. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to do that face to face. And again, I want to remind you, if you do need ever to go, especially as the semester keeps continuing with the need for models, the learning success centers at all the main campuses have models. So if you do feel comfortable to go onto campus and look at those models, you certainly can. And again, we're starting bones. We're going to do bones for 2 weeks starting next week. So weeks 5 and 6 will be bones. You may want to make a trip to the Dollar Tree. It's almost October. They've probably already got I haven't made it there yet. I may go there tomorrow, but they don't have their Halloween stuff, or I'm sure they have their Halloween stuff out. So you may want to get over there and get a cheap skeleton or a cheap skull so you can use that as you're studying bones. So anyway, let's see. So visible body, there we go. And there it is. Okay. Now I'm going to pull up visible body. There's the Padlet. I'm going to pull up visible body. Last week, remember, I kind of slowed things down. It did the same thing this afternoon. So we'll see what we can do. And how much you need to see. I'm going to spend the bulk of the time on the actual assignment itself. So there are a couple of things I do want to discuss actually in the visible body courseware as well. Okay, so it looks a lot like week 3. I think I've been grading some of the week 3 ones, and it looks like the ones I've graded so far have been excellent. So you obviously know what you're doing, or those with visible body, and at least how to do these. And of course, you could answer these questions probably without using visible body, because again, tissues for this week in integumentary, that information isn't any different from book to book generally. So anyhow, you're going to list the major tissue types and answer a couple of questions about the 4 major tissues that we went through on Tuesday: epithelium, connective, muscular, and nervous. And then you'll answer a couple of extra questions, just some basics. And again, this flows right in line. And now is when I'm going to back out. Hopefully it doesn't get too glitchy, but this is where you pull up the My Apps. And just like you did in week 3, hit that anatomy physiology, get that app pulled up, and slowly but surely we start to see some action going on. And again, we're still going to be in this particular app in part 1, where cells were. Remember, the end of part 1 had the tissue. See, it's starting to kind of glitch out. There we go. So 1 through 4, cells and tissues. All of you did hopefully 1 through 3. This week you're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the tissues. So again, this 4.1 all the way through lines up perfectly with what you're going to be doing in here. In the assignment itself. Most of the information is going to be from 4. It's going back. Most of it's going to be from 4. I don't need you to do a heck of a lot with skin in here. So your focus is going to be on 4. And again, just go right down the line and type in your goodies or print them out and write them in however you want to do it. But generally, and again, it says just put an S or an N. Is it striated or non-striated? All right, hold on a sec. I haven't been paying attention over here. Okay. Oh, well, good. I haven't needed to pay attention. Everything looks good in the chat. Okay, so do. Okay, so one little spot here, the nervous tissue. We talked about this a little bit as well. It's kind of the transmission of nerves, or the transmission of a stimulus or a nerve impulse. And we said it comes into the neuron through the dendrites first, and then the cell body, then down the axon, and then finally it terminates at the axon terminal. So we go dendrites, cell body, axon, axon terminal. I want to emphasize with this particular chapter, especially that we are seeing this throughout the semester. This again is just an introduction. So if you get to epithelium and you're kind of like, ooh, and connective I still don't really. That's okay. It's understandable. You're getting that initial introduction to it, because we start every single unit, every body system discussing the microanatomy. So yeah, I know that gets everybody pumped up. So my point is, you're not getting away from cells and tissues that easily. Sorry, but at least you'll know what I'm talking about when we get to we got to the skin, for example. We said, it's the epidermis and the dermis. The epidermis is epithelium. The dermis is connective tissue. And then we looked at the types of cells that are involved with that. So we'll see the same thing with bone next week. We'll start skeletal system with, let's look at the bone tissue. Let's look at the specific cells of bone tissue. Then we're going to get to muscles. So what are we going to do? You guessed it. Look at muscle cells and muscle tissue. Then we get to nervous system. What are we going to do first? Come back to this type of stuff and look at nerve tissue, and nerve cells. And it just continues, right? And after that, it's cardiovascular. So we'll look at cardiac muscle, we'll look at blood as a connective tissue. And then we'll start in on really looking at smooth muscle for the first time in detail when we get to cardiovascular. And then really the rest of the semester will be primarily smooth muscle connective tissue. And then we'll, of course, talk about epithelium with each unit because we see a lot of tubes. So my point is, this stuff is new to most of you, and it won't be new by, about week 12 or 14. When you hear the word epithelium, you won't look at me, well, you might look at me strangely, and that's okay, understandable, but at least you'll know what epithelium is when you're looking at me strangely. So now you just look at me strangely, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So anyway, lastly, 4.21 and 2.2 in here is a little bit about wound healing. So you'll want to go through that. Again, there's a Padlet video about that as well. And then finally, so fairly short and sweet, really. And then you're going to have a couple graded quizzes to do in visible body, just like you did last week. Now, a question came up. Let's get back to assignments. There we go. So when we look at visible body and we see, last week we saw cells and cell metabolism. You maybe hung out a little bit in modules and practice quizzes. You definitely hung out in graded quizzes. Now, I got a couple questions about these two, lab activity. You don't need to go there. You can if you want, but the lab activity that you're doing is the one that I put in Blackboard, which happens to be taken from those. I kind of blended and combined some of what they have here and created the lab activities that you guys do and that you submit into the Dropbox. So I just wanted to make that clear. You don't need to really do anything ever with these particular lab. When you see lab activity in visible body, you don't have to click on it. You can if you want. You don't have to. Modules and practice quiz tissue. So let me minimize that real quick so we can look at the tissues portion of things. Oh, there is. It's a do or do not. Have a Yoda deal. If you do them, you get credit. If you don't do them, if you just leave them blank, I'll probably send you a reminder to do them. But it's part of the credit for the total 20 points for the visible body lab. So it would be probably worth like 6 points out of the 20. So if you did all of them, you'd get 6 points toward the 20, regardless of what your score was. And you can take them as many times as you want to. Okay. So tissues and integumentary, these are the two spots you may hang out in a little bit. Again, we see modules and practice quiz. You can click on that. It'll give you a nice little tour and a breakdown of some of what you're going to be doing over here, and then ultimately filling in over here in the assignment. And then there's going to be one graded quiz with the tissues. So you're going to want to do that as well. And then again, lab activity tissues, you don't need to click on that. That's unnecessary at this point. So I'm going to minimize that, blip. And then we've got integumentary, again, modules and practice quizzes. Now we see, so I would go through those. Again, there isn't anything specific for typing in on the actual assignment for the integumentary system. In the portfolio, there's plenty of integumentary system, and then you're going to also do the integumentary system. There are 2 quizzes for that, so you'll do those as well. I'll click on that real quick, just so you've got a couple of quizzes. One is a dissection quiz, so it's similar to what you saw with the cell last week. So now, having said that, In order to answer these questions, maybe you may want to do that one first. For skin, the dissection quiz, we've got a new tab here. It says Anatomy ID, Integumentary System. So if I click that and open it, it's going to take me to, it's going to open one of the other apps, which is the and again, there it starts to slow things down. It's going to open up the Human Anatomy 2020 app. So the blue one, the one that was in the middle when we looked at the apps. So that's what it's going to open up. And again, it's pretty, there it is. You can see the, so it's going to take you to that app. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time in this particular app as well, really the rest of the semester. This is going to be your body systems kind of macro scale, and you can see all the body systems there. It's going to pull right directly and take us right to a skin model. And so this is your kind of one of your first real experiences, I guess, with this particular app. So you're going to be diving a little deeper with that. And it doesn't look like there's much going on here initially. But again, if I zoom in a little bit on there, and then I need to move you guys over a little bit. Let me see if I can do that, and then move this there. Okay. So again, I can zoom in on this tissue or the skin diagram, and I can click on any of these items. And we don't really want hair shadow. Click on the muscle. So it tells us the name of the structure. We click the booklet. It gives us a little bit of a definition. Again, when you're taking, let me go back. So when you're taking your graded quiz, especially that dissection quiz, you may want to have this open in a secondary screen or on your tablet or phone, however you do it. But either way, you will probably want to have access to this while you're learning a little bit and doing the dissection quiz. It's taken directly from this. Plus, this will help you poke around a little bit and get acclimated as well to this app. Because next week, when the next 2 weeks, when we do skeletal, we're going to spend quite a bit of time working on this particular app and looking at some of these bones. Okay, so that is pretty much it in a nutshell. There's not, like I say, there's not a heck of a lot else to go through regarding what's expected. I think again, you want to get your Padlets going, and again, I wanted to mention that the Padlets, if you're on a tablet or a phone, you want to move over. There's a ton of them this week, and again, comment on one. Try to comment on more than one. And again, you can use some of those videos, I think, to definitely help you answer and understand some of these processes and structures a little bit better. And then you've got your portfolio and your visible bodies to work on. And again, you can do those at the same time even, and then get your quiz or your exam review sheet and start going through some of those. Maybe have that out as well. I mean, you may have several things kind of going on at once as you're learning these new items. You can have the Padlet open, the visible body assignment, the portfolio open, and the exam review questions open, and those are organized for the most part. The exam questions are going to be histology and tissue questions, and then it'll get into the specifics of the different tissue types, and then it'll segue into skin and talk about, it'll ask you some skin questions. So again, you could have that out as well while you're doing all of this. And then once you're ready to take the exam and get that going, you'll have full, you'll be feeling good about everything. And so anyway, if you have questions, please email. And again, if you need to wait for a few things till next Tuesday to fill those out, just remember that we're going to go over some of this stuff on Tuesday before we jump into the skeletal system. And as I continue to condense and prepare, condense week 5 and 6 I guess not condense. I don't know what to expand week 5 into being weeks 5 and 6. I'll send out a new calendar. I'll put it in the announcements tab. I know some of you print that out, or some of you have that calendar, and you kind of refer to that. Of course, the dates don't change, but the what we're going to be doing, and how we're going to be doing it is going to be spread out a little bit more. You're still going to have your same weekly assignments. So we're going to do half skeletal next week. So you'll have a portfolio and a visible body and an exam over what we do next week. And then the following week will be the second part of the skeletal system. And again, you'll have a visible body, a portfolio, Padlet. You're still going to have weekly stuff to do. So it's just going to be spread out a little bit more, so we don't have to cram so much in 1 week. All right, so that's it. We did pretty well, and you can again email me or ask away right now. If you guys have questions, please let me know. Other than that, have an excellent weekend. It's going to start getting chilly. It's crockpot weather, so you're welcome, Stephanie. Have a great weekend. Yep, crockpot weather, and get your blankets and quilts laundered and prepped, and put away the shorts. And yeah, oh well, we love it. That's why we live here. If we didn't, we'd be in Florida or Arizona, and we've got hurricanes down there. Good. I hope so. Yeah, please use this time, guys. Don't log out and just take off and turn on the Wii U or the PlayStation or whatever. Getting chilly means chili in the crock pot. That's right. Chili means chili. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, use this time wisely tonight. You already have it in football. Yeah. Yep. Football. Boy, we're in Bear Packer kind of territory, right? It's probably almost equal amounts, and there are probably more Packer fans being Wisconsin, but still, it's a 2-0, right, for both teams. So that's kind of cool. I don't know how long that'll last, especially for the Bears. If you're putting all your eggs in the Mitch Trubisky basket, that's whew, good luck. So yeah, I'll put my eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket every day, and I don't like either of them. I used to be. It used to be called the Redskins, and we talked about that before. Now it's just the Washington football team. So hey, we beat the Philly or the Eagles and lost to the Cardinals. So yeah, Packers and Saints. Although Packers, I think, are at home, and that usually benefits home teams, because the Saints are a better indoor team. Plus, I believe the Saints played on. Yeah, right. So, Stephanie, you being a Saints fan, you know what I'm talking about. They're better indoors than outdoors, and they played, I think, on Sunday night. Or Sunday night, I think it was. Yeah, Drew Brees getting old, and they had a lot going on Sunday night. So yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, Halloween time. Yeah, that is a coin toss. I don't know. I'm not in any football pools. I do some fantasy football, but I don't know I don't know. I'd probably say the Packers, because they're at home and they're a little more organized. I'm sorry, Stephanie. And I don't have a dog in the fight. Trust me, I don't. So, I'm not really, I'll root for I don't know. I don't, my dad's a Packers fan, so I'm sorry. I guess I'd probably say I'd rather have them win, so he's happy. But see, he's old, and when Packers don't win, he gets grumpy, and it might take minutes, maybe even hours or days off of his life. So we want to keep Geno around as long as we can. So Packers win is good. Yep, go Pack, go. He's a Cubs fan too, so he'll go to his grave happy and he said as much, right? 2016, he's pretty much stuck in 2016, I think, the rest of his life. So he'll go out on top, just knowing the Cubs won the World Series. He was born in 1946, and his parents were Cubs fans, and his grandparents were Cubs fans. I mean, we're talking generations of attrition. so, so yeah, 2016 was big. So anyway, um, I'm a Cubs fan just by blood. I don't have a choice, but I do like the Brewers too. I like any baseball. You can put the Padres and the Giants on, and I'll probably be interested. But anyway, yeah, football. It's great, right? Baseball playoffs, football is kicked off. Man, it doesn't get any better. But NBA, if you like that, NHL. Yeah, I don't know about college. I think they're playing football too. But anyway, yep. So anyway, you guys have fun. Back to the Future, Mr. I know, pretty good, right? Yeah, makes you wonder. Hollywood. We're in the Matrix, right? Or what was that movie? Jim Carrey, but not Pleasantville, but that other one where he's in the. It's dang it. What was the name of that movie? Yep. Good night. See you next week. You know what movie? Truman Show. Thanks, Lori. Yeah, boy, that's probably all of us, right? Makes you wonder. But anyhow, you guys, that's a good one. I haven't introduced my kids yet, believe it or not, to much of Jim Carrey. I think they would love Ace Ventura and probably The Mask, some of his funnier old stuff. Yeah, right. Dumb and Dumber. So yeah, maybe we'll pop some of those on. Oh, they're pumped, right? This weekend it's going to be Halloween decorating, and you know, probably maybe run out and get some donuts at the apple orchard tomorrow, and then it's going to be movies. It's Halloween Town and all those good movies. Yeah, I'm not going to show them Cable Guy. That's a little risky. Yeah, or Truman Show. I don't know if they wouldn't probably get that. Yeah, isn't Halloween Town's awesome? I gotta say, like, out of the super underrated. That whole, I think there's four of them. Yeah, Hocus Pocus is good. Yeah. Yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to, here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have an extra credit. Halloween's on a Saturday this year, but that's not going to stop us. I'll have a little extra credit, kind of a fun little Halloween survey thing and then you guys take that. I'll give you some extra credit. And then we'll talk about the results the next week, but it talks about your favorite scary movies and other different things like that. Ernest Scared Scared. Yeah, there you go. Jim Varney, right? Yeah. Ernest Goes to Camp. I don't know if I've ever, but I'm almost embarrassed to say, I don't know if I've seen Ernest Scared Stupid. I know it. I know about it. But I think that came out when I was either in college or done with college. And I don't know if I ever like circled back around to it. But yeah, oh man, Ernest movies were awesome. Harry and the Hendersons. That's a good one. The kids, the girls like that one. That one gets. Oh yeah, oh man, I'm telling you, Don Knotts and Tim Conway are a couple of the funniest dudes ever. There's a movie. Yeah, speaking of Dorf on golf and. Look like the troll. Donald would crack jokes saying you look like the troll from Ernest Scared Stupid. Oh no, me? Now I gotta watch it. Oh no. Oh no, not me. Okay. Whew. All right. Well, I haven't seen it, so and I don't know. I maybe look like a troll, but I hope not. Maybe more like a warlock. But oh, you guys say that to each other, nice. So yeah. But oh, there's a movie. It's called Private Eyes. It's from 1980 or 81, and it's got Don Knotts and Tim Conway, and it's kind of like a Clue. It's like a spoof on Clue, or an Agatha Christie type movies. It is hilarious. It is so good, and it's just those two. I mean, Don Knotts. You could put him just in front of a TV, just standing there, and he'd be funny. So. But yeah, that's a good one. Private Eyes, it's called. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I think I say it was about 80 or 81, I bet. Yeah, we love movies. We're pumped. This is a great time of year, and trying to keep the gore out of the way. We don't want to taint the minds too much. Right now, they're watching a show called House of Knives, new Clue movie, must watch. I know what you're talking about. Yes, I definitely want to see that. They watched one. It was on Netflix. It was an Adam Sandler kind of mystery. I think it had Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. A couple of real pukers, in my opinion. I mean, I like old Adam Sandler stuff, but I mean that's college humor. But now this day and age, and that kind of mainstream drivel doesn't really appeal to me too much. But that movie, it was a Clue movie. I can't remember what it's called. It was like a murder mystery type thing. It was really good. It was excellent. I actually stayed awake the whole time, which is unusual at this age. Um, yeah, House of Knives. I remember. I know that got. I think a few. That's got some pretty good actors in it, and I think it got nominated for a few awards as well. Maybe. Um, yeah, movies. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. Oh, they're watching Once Upon a Time right now. Remember that show on ABC, kind of a Disney show? That's on Disney Plus. So they're sucked into that. Oh yeah, Princess Bride. Yep. They love that one. Yeah. Yep. Then did you ever see Willow, the one with the little dwarf, and they rescue like the little redheaded curly haired baby, and they're like taking him, trying to get him. Yeah, that movie is so good. Yeah, he sure is. Yep, yeah, yep. Val Kilmer's in that one. Yeah. Oh yeah, Labyrinth. I love that. Anything Jim Henson related is big in this house. Yeah, if it's yeah, one of these nights, if I'm feeling spunky, I could probably run through a lot of different voices. He's my other guru, Jim Henson and Pat Morita, right, and Yoda and all those guys. Yeah, there was another one I thought of that's awesome that I really like. But yeah, Labyrinth. David Bowie is tremendous as an entertainer for sure. Oh yeah, like Fraggle Rock, right? Yeah, everybody loves Fraggle Rock. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you're missing. You got to fill in some spaces. Yeah. Oh, I know who it was. Bob Ross. You guys watch him? If you're ever feeling down and out, just go on Netflix and pop out a Bob Ross with the pretty little trees, and he'll tell you how great everything is, and there's no need to ever worry. And you just got to look at his hairdo, and that's enough to get you smiling and listen to him telling you how great he is. So all the time, yeah, he absolutely, man. It's a great does he say pretty little trees? Yeah. Let's put that right there. Yeah, that's a good spot for that. Yeah. He has his son on once in a while too, some of the newer episodes. Gosh, that show, there's like 40, 50 episodes or years of seasons of episodes. I mean, it's just endless. So yeah. So anyhow, well, I'm wasting your guys' time. I hope I'm not wasting anybody's time, but I know I love. So yeah, you guys have fun. We'll talk later. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and if you ever have questions, just shoot me an email and have fun.